Hi, everyone. Um, I'm going to start doing a deep dive into the Kennedy family. If anybody follows me, they know I supported Bobby Kennedy's presidential bid in 2024. 2024. Uh, so yeah, Patrick Kennedy. I sent him an email because I started the whole like coverage of the Charlie Kirk assassination and the investigation into that. First, because Matt Dowd was fired. I believe it was MSNBC for saying, he was online. It was, you know, on air, I guess they call it, uh, when it happened. And he was like, well, we don't know anything. Maybe it was a firecracker that went off. We don't really know it was a gunshot. Uh, you know, they knew nothing, absolutely nothing. And coming in, well, shots were fired. And he's like, well, we don't know. Uh, and so for that comment, he got fired. I mean, I was like, that's ridiculous. And not only was he fired, but he was like attacked. These attacks that you go, these tirades that they go on the internet. And I was like, this is ridiculous, poor guy. Well, see, the thing is his girlfriend is Maria Shriver. Yeah, what is Maria Shriver doing? Um, Publishing her book about how to find yourself after divorce. If anybody doesn't know that story, what rock have you been under? Yeah, her husband, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the actor, governor, whole kit and caboodle, we will all be going into him, uh, had a secret affair with the maid for a long time. I don't know. I guess I'll be looking into how that whole thing played out, and what happened there. But they did have a child, so he's got this illegitimate child. So of course, when Maria found out, I guess that was the end of their marriage. So let's see. Of course, that didn't go down too well, and they got a divorce. So that's how Maria ends up with uh, a divorce and a boyfriend and finding herself. I mean, this is as bad as Leslie Morgan Steiner in Washington, D.C. Her first book, Crazy Love, about, her domestic violence case. Now, in the case of Morgan, of Leslie Morgan Steiner, um, her husband put a gun to her head the night before they were to be married. I mean, that's sending a pretty strong message of what's going to be going on in the marriage. I mean, any woman uh, who goes ahead with a marriage needs to have her head examined rather than be given a place in the discussion on domestic violence, while sane women trying to address the problems and how it's being covered up in the court and not looking to get up on a podium. Sure, I got my book. I got my book, The Mommy Wars Between the Feminist, Anti-Feminist, and the Socialites, but it's an explanation of what's been going on behind the scenes for the past 18 years here in Washington. Well, I'm trying to clean up the courts, starts with family courts, and now I'm all over the place, and getting the legislative branch and the executive branch to do their job, like the U.S. Constitution provides for. And it's all backstabbing witchery and party politicking. The all of the nonprofits are involved. it just goes from top to bottom. I mean, even literally the bottom to your minimum wage employees, of which I am one. I have two pending cases against the IMF that can bring that place down. I mean, I jokingly tell all of the IMF and World Bank employees who come in for lunch where I work, yeah, I'm going to bring Kristalina Georgieva down with a donut. There are two economists who do a discussion on explaining the economy using a donut. One is a store-bought donut, the other is a homemade donut. Anyway, you can go into my monetary policy playlist for all of those things. I mean, believe me, any of these PhDs in Washington, I can chew them up and spit them out like that. But I can barely get a minimum wage job because I want to clean up all of this shit. I mean, I know it. You know, there's a huge portion of Trump supporters, the MAGA, that are disillusioned with them. I'm like, I told you so. But what they want is what I've been fighting for. Of course, they're too busy with their podcasts. For example, all these people with the Charlie Kirk assassination who are calling for an investigation, supporting an investigation into the trial of Tyler Robinson, why the FBI, Kash Patel, are blocking things, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. I mean, you know, Joe Kent, he confirmed that is going on. I mean, if you didn't notice just from what's in front of your face. Okay, so anyway, let's get into, okay, I got into Maria Shriver, the Matt Dowd. So Maria Shriver, she was married to Arnold Schwarzennegar, and I had contacted, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger also for the Charlie Kirk assassination. He's on a panel discussion. Of course, you know, how much does he get for all of these speaking engagements? I mean, these people are living pretty. They got their book deals, their speaking engagements. I mean, how do you think the Obamas and the Clintons made all of their money? It's all a racket. And I mean, it's a money laundering type of racket for the oligarchs who are throwing the money here, put out the propaganda. Hollywood got it roll. The DC people got their role, and New York. Oh, and then the satellite. I mean, the lesser important cities in all of this house of cards, which has destroyed the dollar, destroyed the economy, destroyed the country, its social fabric, which was based on the Puritan worth ethics, instead of sitting around, you know, giving interviews about yourself and how great you are and your latest movie or your latest campaign or your latest fashion design. I mean, all of these different, as I go into my book, all of these different, you know, our culture, which gets into, you know, your culinary traditions, your dress, all of these, and you know, manners and etiquette, how you set a table. I mean, one of the things years ago that I wanted to include with the whole Global Expats project, and like a cookbook type of, you know, and how to, would be joy of cooking type of thing, but internationally, you know, joy of cooking. It's not just the recipes; it's how to do all of arranging of the flowers, of setting up the table, all of these different things that any young socialite in my day growing up and in my mother's day growing up was, you had to know. These were just basics. Cornelia Guest explains all of this in Debutante's Guide to Life. But, internationally, because when I was in France, the family, the mother of the family where I was as an au pair, she was from a very bourgeois family. Her father had, that's an interesting story in the history of France. So her father, he lived and worked on, it was like the largest farm, at least in northern France or so. He was on the board of Crédit Agricole, but he was an illegitimate son. So he wasn't going to have title to the farm, but he was an illegitimate son whose parents married, but after his birth, so his sisters would get title to the farm, but he was the one working it. So anyway, she's from so we go out to the farm. It was one of these old farmhouses, beautiful. And, she'd be showing me to set the table and stuff. And we would laugh because I was like, oh, my mother would have a fit if she saw the table like this, because the fork is down with the forks on the claws on the table. I was like, so anyway, yeah, I digress. So these are all important. This is what a socialite does in setting the norms and standards and replying to correspondences that arrive. I mean, instead of just ignoring people until they go away. I mean, all of these people, they get up on their ivory towers, whether it be the elected officials. I mean, go on to my Taking Back America for the People, Americans Abroad, and you'll see the post of the video, to my conversation with Sophie Mervis, I forget which congressional member it is, about the American Abroad Act. And my explanation, my spiel of basic 101 obligation to protect, and how the consulates have an obligation to assure that the rights of their citizens are upheld in foreign jurisdictions. Now, that goes for Americans abroad, and that goes for people living on American jurisdiction who are foreigners in the U.S. As the UN report, good practices in eliminating violence and discrimination against women states, since violence against women and discrimination and a lot of issues happen in cross-border context, will you have an opportunity for cross-border solutions? The problem is, instead of solutions, they're all making money off of this. Human trafficking, rampant, sex trafficking, child trafficking with the military. The investigation into Erica Kirk and the Romania connection, that brought that up. Was Erica Kirk aware of what was going on in all of this stuff? Probably, and maybe not. You got it? Presumption of innocence. Okay? I mean, she does deserve that, but not a la Gary Melton. That's going beyond presumption of innocence. When you got evidence thrown in your face and you just say, oh no, nothing here, nothing here, that goes beyond presumption of innocence. Okay? Presumption of innocence and due process. That's all I'm fighting for everybody, whether it be Prince Andrew, Erica Kirk, Tyler Robinson, Governor Cuomo, disgusting what his daughters will be going into Gary Kennedy. Gary Kennedy is the mother of Andrew Cuomo's 3 daughters, if anybody doesn't know. They were supposed to be another Camelot, like Jackie and JFK. The only people in this family who served the country are dead. So, and one of the reasons why I supported Bobby, well, there's two. First, Bobby Kennedy, his platform, except for Jeff Sachs and the SDGs, and I want to get on a podium and have Jeff Sachs and Kara Kennedy prove to me their SDGs, how that's going to go down. Because I keep on telling them, your SDGs are going to produce the same income inequality, the same bullshit, the same violence, the same rising nationalism, the same economic problems as Reaganomics trickled down for the same reason. The purse strings of your investment and spending money are held in the hands of a bunch of psychopaths and prima donnas who want to get on podiums, be actors, get their books published. Your infrastructure is going to shit. I mean, I was watching, I think I reposted it and liked it, whatever. Sean Ryan in some interview, I forget who it was, but about the infrastructure, our power grid in this country, how it's controlled by the Chinese. That's the most dangerous. That's even more dangerous. Well, okay, I think that even comes up. Nuclear bomb or them shutting down the power grid. I mean, people don't realize that the urban cities, well, you better get out of there fast. That'll become a free-for-all. I mean, think of it. Water, just water. You can survive quite a few days without food, but not water. Imagine the stench with all the sewage stuff. I mean, just take a second to imagine, people. All because a bunch of prima donnas and their snot-nosed brats want to chew the fat and party hardy and become drug addicts and beat their kids. I mean, look, we haven't heard anything about Rob Reiner and his wife being killed and the son, but apparently Rob Reiner, this goes back to his father. I mean, sick people. This is who controls the country. Everybody's going on about, the oligarchs, the deep state. We got to bring down the deep state. Well, look in the mirror. The 10%ers are maintaining this. I'm looking here, Unflocked. America's demised. I like her. I sent her an email, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I never hear back from any of these. See, they just want to get up on a podium. I've been after the journalist for 20 years to expose all of this shit. All I got is an Excel spreadsheet filled with the names of thousands of journalists who are going to have to explain themselves in the international court when we get to Nuremberg trials too. Check out my videos. Gosh, this would be, I know I did a clip individual and I'll have to go back and see where that is. But Marianne Seigart, her great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, her family tree is in my ancestry.com. For anybody who, I'm not signed up for ancestry.com. Somebody gave me that comment. I said, it's free. Sign up. You don't have to pay anything. Just sign up. You can get access. My Lord. I'll tell you, the administrative function, even the secretaries need hand-holding. I mean, it was disgusting at the IMF, and it's no better in the restaurant business where I am. Okay, again, I'm going off and, bitching about. I mean, it's the triad. New York, D.C., and L.A. Every time you turn around. Okay, so anyway, take a listen to Patrick Schwarzenegger, because since I did the whole thing about the, what the issues with, because, excuse me, I never finished that. His father's on a panel discussion saying how that it's the the journalists who are radicalizing everyone in the country. So I'm like, okay, yeah, here, let's do a case study with all of these people with the Charlie Kirk assassination. And oh Lord, they didn't let me down. I mean, my favorite is the Gary Melton stuff. I mean, he just like walks around with this sign, military industrial complex, on his forehead. So that's a bit amusing in and of itself. Hell, this would be a great movie for these assholes in Hollywood. My poor mother, until her dying day, she was trying to write the great screenplay of the women in the South during the Civil War, pre-Civil War era. She had a lot of good ideas. They had 3,000 books. This is again, yeah, 3,000 books. My father understood everything, but my mother, and that's why she was so jealous of him. And when I went into the nursing home, they're talking about COVID and everything. My parents are in the nursing home because I have to flee Spain and come to Washington, and everybody cancels me because I want to clean up family courts and be reunited with my sons, living in a shithole every place. I mean, I'm just happy not to be living on the streets. I keep on saying, Tucker Carlson, he keeps on talking about white replacement. I'm living it. Because all of these people are on their ivory towers and the country's going to shit and everybody hates the white privilege for it. I'm like, it's not my fault. And also, I got a whole economic plan how to turn this country around. And I'm the only one who's actually looking for somebody capable of getting in the White House and doing the job. Everybody wants to be president. Well, I just want to try and find somebody who's qualified to be president. And again, this is why I, supported Bobby Kennedy. And I think, he was of good faith and wanted to finish his father's business. I mean, that's what family is really about, particularly amongst the conservatives. Your family name, your family honor. I mean, when my father was passing away, well, these guys are having fun during the COVID lockdown. I'm dreaming about being with my sons, and my father passes away. And he wouldn't have if I had been given a voice, gotten my, company started, and had them in decent housing. Oh God, that gets into the whole Louisiana corruption. You can see my response to Baron Coleman about the whole Edwin Edwards shit. That's Governor Edwin Edwards of Louisiana. I mean, this country's been going to shit for a long time. Well, all these people party hard. Okay, finally, let's get into how long have I been bitching? Oh, Patrick. Okay. Oops, hold on. I don't think I put the speaker on. Yep, put it in. Okay, I think it's a little too fast.
I did a bunch of people and you led a night on goal setting and kind of getting in the right headspace for the new year. Do you still do stuff like that?
Yeah, so this last year I did not. Well, I did it personally for myself, but not with a big group. I'm actually surprised that we got away with doing that if that was COVID year. I can't remember when it
was like January. COVID happened all in March.
Yeah, I know. But then did we do? Oh, so we must have done goals right then, right before.
I think it was like a few weeks later.
Got it. So we met. You messaged me. we went for coffee, and at the time you were interested in going into content, and I was trying to listen to you, what you were up to and what you wanted to do, and your overall vision was trying to come up with like a streamlined log line of what you were trying to accomplish, right?
Right.
That's if I remember correctly.
I think so. I have the worst memory.
Okay, that's what I remember. And then I was doing the goal night because I was like, you know what, I think you would benefit from it, because the whole point of the goal night is like, of course we all have dreams and visions and stuff like that, but it's really hard to articulate it to yourself or to others unless you kind of write it down and speak it out. And I'm just a huge believer of taking the time once a year or a couple times a year to really think about, if you had a dream, like what was the perfect dream of where you could end up in a year from now? You know, is that building out your studio?
So, I'm adding to the tree. I'm doing this at the same time. But also to show this is his father's family tree. And his father, if anybody doesn't know, is from Austria. His father's father, so Patrick's grandfather, was a soldier, a Nazi soldier. But also, let's see, well, yeah, it would be this Arnold Schwarzennegar. He was in World War I. Now, the thing is, think of all of the, let's see, where was that? 19, come on, okay, so he gets married, 1897, and, has got him married in 1902 again. I think that would probably be more. No, I think it would be 97. Okay, so anyway, then this is what, the military, 1914. So he was in World War I. So that's how many wars need to be fought before people learn. But as I say, these soldiers, the soldiers that are, in fact, all of the soldier military podcasters, and I agree, soldiers don't say anything political because you're not supposed to be political. Leave it for us vets. Yeah, well, you vets, so you got to be informed. And stop just wanting to make money. So anyway, we got World War I, World War II, and Arnold. I mean, he said in his interview that his father is what one would consider abusive today. That extremely, extremely strict. What they need is just a good spanking. And maybe with a belt. So you can imagine my stance on that type of behavior. So anyway, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger's family tree, and it's interesting, I keep on going back here. This guy, he had 3 wives. So let's see this one. Okay, this one, she passed away in 1877. Because, you go back in history, sometimes one wife dies, then another wife dies, sometimes in childbirth, sometimes from other things. But I'll be like, my God, don't marry that guy. His wives keep dying on him. Not to be morbid. So that's always kind of interesting. But, this is also, like all of you Hollywood people, you remember Roots? That was the whole black stuff. And in fact, actually, that was a whole made up. Apparently that was made up. I go back to the Wilcoxes. This gets into, this is the Dickinson. So anyway, oops. The John Dickinson family. Okay, so we will start listening to him for real.
Was that, interviewing X amount of people? Is it, whatever that is? writing that down and just kind of be constantly reminded about it, and then trying to figure out little steps to get closer and closer towards those goals. But it's kind of like this weird, having goals and having like a vision board and stuff like that. A lot of people think weird of it or like foo-foo or stuff like that, but it's a huge thing in my life, and I like to do it for other young entrepreneurs, just anybody that want to kind of get involved in that. And that's how we met.
I love that. How did
young entrepreneurs. I've been looking for funding for my global expat thing for 20 years now. The whole problems with, the violence of my ex-husband, not all the problems, but he became extremely violent when Microsoft became interested in the project in 2007. That was spring of 2007. So anyway, apart from that, then everything exploded. I had to flee Spain. Washington, refugees coming here from a foreign country. Oh, they'll give you housing, they'll give you food, they'll give you jobs, all of it. An American fleeing and coming here? Oh no, you're going to be thrown out in the streets. You'll barely be able to survive. In fact, they'll target you with all of your the hate crimes if you've been canceled by your family and friends like I have been. So yeah, the foo-foo shit I'm tired of, and all of this realizing your goals. I mean, they're going after Erica Kirk on this shit, but I'm like, are you kidding? This is their formula. Erica Kirk, this is, go on any template of how to be a fake social media influencer. They're all fake. Here is the profile you got to put up there. Okay, her deal is the whole trad wife and conservative. Yeah, the trad wife who wants to have it all, just like the feminist. I mean, and then she's getting criticized for it, but Candace Owens is no different, and she's put on a pedestal. It's like Virginia Giuffre. She was no different than Ghislaine Maxwell. She's then turned into a hero, and Ghislaine Maxwell is thrown into prison. While the trad wife, the real trad wife, is told to shut up and go and live in a tent on the street, or jump off a bridge, better yet, because she's a gold-digging whore whose meal ticket husband, is out of the scene, so she better find a new one quick. Or, as I say, jump off a bridge so she doesn't have to be fed or housed. The hypocrisy.
How did you first get so into the goal setting and the thinking about this?
My dad. Just kind of growing up, my dad has always taught us kids to have a vision. He always talks about having a vision, what his dreams are, what his goals are, and then just kind of like taking steps back. And he's always just kind of said, like, why would you not have a GPS for your life? Like, why would you not think about where you want to go, and then how do you get there? And so that's kind of always stuck in my mind of really trying to think about what I want to do with my life, where I want to go, and then what are the steps necessary to kind of get closer towards that. And I also truly believe in it. I really think that there's an impact of having goals and having, dreams.
The problem is their goals are always self-centered and egotistical. Oh, I want to be famous. I want to, be this entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. I mean, he sells a protein bar with his mother. I mean, people need to start, we need to start producing real food and worrying about our farmers and getting our land back. Oh, so many laws and shit have been, broken there. Getting the resources and the land back and all of that shit, it's really not a problem, but either you need lawyers to do it peacefully, or it's going to be an army. That's when we're talking about grid shutting down, power grid. I mean, when are these people going to wake up and smell the coffee? I mean, I'm terrified for my sons, and I mean, I'm not perfect, you know. I don't know. I've made mistakes. I so wanted to keep them out of all of this and protect them, particularly when they were young, you know, when everything started in Bogota. I mean, and it played into my husband's hand and everybody else's hand to alienate them from me. I mean, I am on internet, so, but I, I just, this kid's the same age as my sons.
Dreams and having a vision and speaking it out and yeah.
Believing in yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen this now come true with so many of my friends and people I know. That.
What about serving your community, serving your country, believing in yourself?
When you really do step into what you want to be doing or what you want to pursue, the universe does start opening doors.
Yeah.
Like subconsciously, if you believe, oh, in 5 years I'm going to be here, or I am good at this, everything around you starts to be affected by like your belief.
Yeah, for sure.
This is such the psychobabble.
I mean, they have that, you know, the punch buggy theory, you know? It's like you never think about the last time you saw a punch buggy, you know?
I honestly
you
can't.
don't. But then you play the game and you start saying the punch buggy, and then all of a sudden in a day you see multiple ones. You know, when you get someone in a punch buggy, you find you owe me this.
That's
and
true.
It's like that theory of when it's on your mind and you start to, for a goal or something, you start to think about it, you start to speak it out loud. It plays in other areas of your universe, to your subconscious, to your confidence, to your competence, to your, you know, there's so many different things that it does. And Tony Robbins speaks a lot about that and what it does to you psychologically. And I believe in it. So
with your dad kind of instilling those values in you.
You got this cult shit going on. You got it with the religious right, like with TPUSA, but then LA. It's a whole freaking cult. And PSYOP. And satanic shit going on. I mean, that's as bad. And in LA, DC, and New York, everybody's screaming about, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. I'm like, shit, going on right under your nose, and I've been telling you who is problematic for 20 years.
And I think our parents, hopefully, if we have parents who are building us up to be great, you know, I think about my parents, and I always say my mom was like, if you want something, you got to make it happen. Right. And my dad was like, and you can do anything you want to do. So I had both the like, okay, believe in yourself and put the work in. Yeah. Obviously, your dad being so successful, did you ever feel like, I don't know, like.
My mom, when we were growing up, my siblings and I, we would look at each other as my mom would go on her tirades about how we were the worst kids in the entire world, piece of shit, whatever. And we would like afterwards be like, oh my God, if she knew what all of the kids at our schools are involved in and doing, like we're angels compared to everybody. And she's always screaming how bad we are. I was like, if she only knew, if she only knew. And you know, my poor father, you just try not, you walk on eggshells not to get her angry, because then he's gonna, oh, poor dear man. Oh, that was the worst thing when they passed away. I contacted, there were these like tarot readers and stuff. And, you know, they do about people who have passed or whatever. And she told me that, no, my parents were like in this, because I was like, oh, thank God, at least now he's liberated from her. No, this is like they're connected through eternity. I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, God, no. Please, no. Well, that one really threw me for a loop. So anyway, this whole psychobabble shit just gets my goat.
Pressure. It seems like you have a confidence that you've been born with, but how does that net out when the parent is so successful?
Yeah, that's probably like the number one question I get from people of like, are you so worried about living in your dad's shadow, or like how does that weigh on you, and like do you ever think you'll be more successful than him? To me, like one of the things that I've learned probably the most, and probably from my mom more than my dad, is just what is success to you, and really making sure you have a clear understanding of what you value in life. Nothing against my dad, but his values and what his definition of success.
Yeah, well, when the grid goes down, success and what you value in life is going to change real fast. Can you imagine LA? Oh, all the people at Beverly Hills, they're going to be, at least they have their swimming pools. That'll keep them for a little while, but they can't drink that water.
Success is very career driven. Very much wanting to be the biggest movie star in the world, very much wanting to be the biggest bodybuilder in the world, very much wanting to be the biggest, politician, always taking those kind of next career steps. Whereas for me, family, faith, relationships, friends, my fiance, those types of things. Of course, I want to make money. Of course, I want to make a career for myself. Of course, I want to be a huge movie star and I want to have multiple successful brands and stuff like that. But that's on par with other areas that I define as success to me. So
yeah, I want to be a good father, a good husband, a good person in your community. What about that?
So I think just taking a step back, for a lot of people, having a clear understanding of what success means to you. And I really learned that a lot from my mom, and just having really kind of defined areas of that. And I bring that up because I'm not worried so much about how successful my dad is or was, and same with my mom. I just really care about carving kind of my own path and wanting to feel successful to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm never gonna out succeed my dad in his terms, but in my terms, I will.
And that's so true. It's like, how do we measure it, right? Like success could be, I have really amazing relationships. No one's going to get an award for that, And I've also, I'm sure you have too, talked to some really successful people who have every accolade you could think of, but it's not happiness to them.
Exactly. And that's a huge, and a lot of people they always hear that and they're like, yeah, sure. I don't really believe that. That person's a billionaire. Of course they're happy and stuff like that. But
oh my God,
one of the things that I've been fortunate enough to see is I've seen it firsthand. My dad has a lot of successful, friends, and I grew up with people that have come around the house. You wouldn't believe how many people that are ultra successful.
What about the Kennedys?
And wealthy and have the biggest careers and everything of that nature, are longing for relationships, friendships or whatever, significant other, kids, relationship with the kids that they have, so because in the world he's talking about, of the rich and famous, which everybody aspires to,
it's who who knows you, how much money you have. Everybody's a commodity. Everybody's a does it say commodity? Use and be used. That's the name of the game. And you go shopping and do your nails. And I mean, the quantity of money that is being spent on tattoos, nails, beauty salons. I mean, it is beauty, the latest beauty product. That's of the actors, this Clemencia. She was my neighbor in Bogota and my neighbor in Madrid. Yeah, well, she's one of the many who has canceled me. See, a global citizen, formal model, presenter, and actress. Yeah, well, thanks, Clemencia, for all the support. Oh, and her skincare and the benefits of cannabis plants. Well, here. Founder Cannabali, an initiative passionate about national skincare and healthy living. Well, guess what? There are about 70 women in Spain who are killed each year from domestic violence. I can tailor the information exactly to what you're. Oh, that's the chat GPT. Or Google, whatever it is. AI. But like, I'm so tired of the models, the debutantes, the actresses, as I show in my book, The Mommy Wars, in the development of Western society. The actresses were trying to, the floozies, the showgirls, were always trying to steal the men, the upper crust men, in their social climbing efforts. We see that with Prince Philip, his father and mother, who get sent to a psychiatric ward because his father is blamed for the Greco-Turk War failure. And they go to St. Cloud, and he picks up with an actress in Paris and wants to get rid of his wife and family, and proceeds to do so. With the Capote Swans, Anne Woodward, she kills her husband. Katharine Graham of Washington Post gets her husband to kill himself. And it's all hush, 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 Nothing to see there. Oh, how unfortunate. Yet another suicide, yet another overdose. Such a shame. 200,000 suicides per year and 600,000 overdoses. Deaths. It's like, people, your little formula with the actresses, the lead cheerleaders, ain't working out too good. You might want to bring back the princesses, the real princesses, the ones who actually feel the pee when they sleep on the mattress. I keep on saying, yeah, when I came to DC in the 70s and 80s, I was a princess with a pee. But I didn't know what my pee was at the time. But yeah, now I'm an old lady, a cave-dwelling old lady who's been canceled, and I know exactly what my pee is and what needs to be done about the entire pod.
Yeah, I just think that the definition of success and understanding what you value in life is so important.
And did you have any times growing up where you maybe wavered from that and lost a best friend and then learned that lesson?
Yes, I wavered from it for sure. I didn't get to where I am today without,
Yeah.
And during my early 20s or teen, everything is like, so much of our generation is you want overnight success. You want to have 10 million followers tomorrow. You want to have $10 million tomorrow. You want to have, your leading role in a movie tomorrow. You want to everyone wants success like that. And it doesn't work like that. I mean, majority of the time, 99%.
I just want to be reunited with my sons, and I want everybody to get their shit together. Setting your goals. That's been my goal for 20 years. And I can't get past that because everybody's sitting on a podium telling everybody in the world how great they are.
The time. But of course, I had times in my life where I totally valued the wrong things, whether it was from partying, whether it was from being single, whether it was from social media, to whether it was money, whatever it was. And so
the only thing the Americans know how to do anymore is party. Party and get fat, lazy, and stupid.
I think, as you get older, you learn more about yourself. You learn more about what matters to you. And specifically kind of at the tail end of college, when I met Abby. So I've been with her now this will be 10 years coming up.
Oh my gosh.
Which is crazy. Thank you. And yeah, I think I just finding someone else that you have just corresponding kind of values of what she really cared about and what I really cared about, and going on that kind of journey together. And I mean, that's really what kind of helped me get realigned of what I wanted to do, and the fact that she's such a workhorse and she has so many dreams and aspirations and goals, and
guess what?
She cares so much about family, and so do I, and friendships and health and so many other things that kind of re-leveled me in a way. But before
kids with their dreams and aspirations and everything like that, well, their parents sit around and cash in on the problems their parents and their grandparents and their grandparents' grandparents have been creating. These guys are going to get a reality adjustment any way this turns. I mean, I keep on explaining to all these Marie Antoinettes and Louis XVI. Machiavelli told everybody, is that the 1400s? In his book, The Prince, how this would go down if you all kept on in your ivory towers and didn't pay attention to how angry the people were getting. Never ends well. Never ends well. When you lose the support of the people, your days are numbered. And I mean, a power grid shutdown would definitely mobilize all of those people, all of your military guys with all of their guns and all that shit. Oh, that mobilized them real quick.
Of course, I was lost per se, or whatever, you know.
Yeah, that's really special that you found that at that time, and it's been able to really help shape everything.
Yeah.
I feel similarly. Like, I find myself getting caught up in, I don't know, the numbers, or even literally today, I'm going to call myself out, and this is coming out in a little bit, but I was looking at my follower count and it's getting close to like 500K. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to send an email to my team and be like,
my follower count is getting almost 500,000. Wait a second. Real pod. 10,000. Okay, but wait a second. Maybe she's okay. Look. Almost 9,000 views, 10,000.4 subscribers. I'm not so subscribed. I guess I'll subscribe. But a lot of times it's just watching these people. Some might call it stalking. I call it being mother of the internet. Megyn Kelly in her interview with Ben Shapiro. I'm not mother of the internet, Ben. I love these imitations of Ben Shapiro with his nasal voice. But, yeah, Megyn Kelly, who said that any woman would sleep with her boss because she wanted to be on TV. Yeah, the couch casting we saw that with Marilyn Monroe. That's another person in the Kennedy story. With Hollywood as much as DC, the Capote Swans, with all of their husbands and lovers. I mean, Pamela Harriman, I think, was the one who really was the icing on the cake amongst the socialites and slept around. Yeah, these people are not respectable. Don't believe it.
Our goal is going to be, let's hit 500K before. And I was like, no, you're not, because that means nothing. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Not that the people who support me in my community mean nothing, but that's not the kind of goal I want to be setting. I would rather focus on creating something to serve the 470 whatever that I have than trying to view this mark because what? Like, so that people look at the account and they see, like, so I go to it because I think, especially from the athletic background, it's like stats, numbers. Right. And when you first start in this business, you have to be cognizant of it. I think it's a luxury to get to a place where you can focus less on it and focus more on the creative side.
The last thing we need is another snot-nosed brat podcaster out there. Again, as I say, we need to start concentrating on the infrastructure, on producing products and services that serve the American people, not a bunch of prima donnas.
But you know, those thoughts come in where you get back to it.
Of course they do. They came into my head all the time during my early 20s. And it was like, it's such an interesting thing because my ultimate goal is to be in the film space and in the movie space. And I've teetered back and forth. You know, I grew up with my dad's kind of thought process of you want to be a recluse. You don't want anyone to know anything about you. You know, that's how you get successful in films so that they can believe you in any certain different type of role. don't know anything about you. Then like my 20, then Instagram blew up and there was successful, from YouTubers to Viners or whatever that were getting into the movie space. And then that kind of was squashed and people were like, oh, post whatever, you got to be turning out content every day. You got to be posting Instagrams. Oh, this thing does better than this thing. And you should be shirtless. That's going to get more likes and whatever. And, you do it, you do these things and you're like, it's kind of a dopamine hit or an addiction of like, oh, this gets more likes or this gets more comments or this gets more, blah, 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 blah. And it was COVID that happened where I really took a moment to try to think about, and my acting teacher in my class said that this was like, she said, one other time, when else are you going to get a time when you're on the sidelines? Because that's the beauty of COVID was that we were all on the sidelines. We didn't get to, the industry was shut down.
That was a real beauty of COVID. I was locked up with 2 sexual predators, a whore. I mean, this woman, she had been, a travel agent. Some of her clientele included Henry Kissinger. So she had this, was a great client, travel agent for all in DC in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. She's a little bit older than I am. Oh Lord, she was a real piece of work. Also, when she was in high school, she got pregnant by the black, football jock to piss her father off. So she gave up the kid for adoption, but she didn't do much favor to the kid. When she tried to come back into his life, she was a drug. I mean, the woman, like the guy who had the little store downstairs just around the corner. This is Mount Pleasant in DC. Asian couple who ran it. He was like, I won't let her in here anymore. I mean, she's constantly falling down drunk. I was like, it's not just the alcohol, it's all of these pills that she's on. I mean, one night I went downstairs. I'm not sure exactly why I went downstairs to the kitchen. But I might have, was it because I heard something? Anyway, I like, it's in the middle of the night and her drug supplier has gotten into the house and trying to get some money, or I don't know what was going on with these two. Oh, thank God it was a woman. I mean, it would have been a man, I really would have been afraid. But I didn't know that the woman had a knife or whatever. And I'm like in the kitchen, the woman's in the hallway, and I'm screaming up through the top, to the other people in the house, call the cops, because her drug supplier is here, wanting her money. And I'm like, go up and find out what's going on. But, you got to get out of here in the middle of the night. You don't just come into some house, break into a house. I mean, my Lord. That's how I spent COVID after my dear father had passed away because of COVID. I mean, my mother, yes, I came to terms with my mother, and this is also, I learned hatred, anger and hatred is it eats you up, and just let it go, Unfortunately, yeah, my mother, I don't believe in these Scrooge epiphanies or any of that stuff. Not with my mother, not with my sister. Oh, yeah. Even at the end. That's how deep the psychosis goes. Anyway, yeah. To each his own for their COVID experience, little Patrick. I mean, the thing is, I'm pissed off at this kid. Send him an email. I know it's the right email address. Send him an email, and then I call up to confirm, did you get my email? Because I haven't heard back from you. And the first number was somebody else. Then, what do you want? And then I say, well, I sent you an email. You have the wrong number. I'm almost positive. Women's Intuition, I'm pretty sure it was him. Screw you, buddy. Screw you. And, let's pull out the Kennedy family. Everybody went up against Bobby Kennedy in the presidential bid, where is Bobby Kennedy perfect? Of course not. But excuse me, you either become a drug addict with these people or a psychopath. He became one of these reformed drug addicts. It's like, let's stop producing a society where we call our heroes the drug addicts and the alcoholics who dried up. That's your heroes? What about the respectable people who walked away from the whole bullshit and became a real trad wife? Oh, Lord, I realize how much that a real trad wife who, oh my Lord, forbid, be dedicated to her husband's career and her children and their careers. Now my kids are grown up, they're his age. I'm desperate. I don't know, what they're doing or anything. Nobody will give me any information. Everybody's canceled me. I mean, my sister would jet set over to China, but could she stop on her way and find out how my kids are in Madrid? Oh, when it was convenient to stop off in Madrid, yeah, to watch me being beaten to death. Oh, that, yeah, she's got time for. I'll tell you. See, people, these role models, this lifestyle that everybody aspires to is very, very self-destructive. Don't buy the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't buy it and don't drink it that they're passing out.
And when you're on the sidelines, you get to look kind of at the field and see it from a different perspective. And she told me, she was like, this is a really good time for you to think about, where do you want your career to go? If you were to look at the playing field and you were to look at different people's careers that you emulate, that you look up to, that you would want, whose are they and what are they doing? And it just made me kind of rethink everything. I was like, all the people that I look up to, all the people's careers that I want to be, or the careers that I want to have, they're not posting any of this shit. They're not posting these things for likes or whatever. They're establishing their career first, and they're more of the recluse, like my dad said.
Their careers, their careers.
Coffee run or his, whatever it is, and his shirtless things or this and that. So I just went through and I took away the likes, which was, I love that. I love that Instagram did that. So I can't see anybody else's likes.
I'm like, yeah, I'm concerned about my son's career. Look at Spain. And give me a voice and give me some investment money and start turning this boat around. I'm really thankful that my sons, both of them, did civil engineering. I'm like, oh, your careers, my sons, are in the bag. The sky will be the limit once I get all of these assholes off their podiums.
Like, I can't see mine. Yeah. Cool. And I deleted probably 80% of my posts. All of it now is just professional, things. And I just don't care about it. I care how I'm perceived more than I did before, but in a different way. I don't do anything based off of likes or comments or followers or things of that. It's always towards where I want to go with my career. And then the other thing I love now is that you can post to close friends. Mm-hmm. So that I post whatever I want. And then there's 30, 40 people or something like that can just see that. But
close friends.
I don't know where
these little.
I love this though. I was just thinking, I would have no idea that you even did this because, right? I've seen the change and
the exclusive little groups and clubs. This is, the root, the seed, if you will, of all this cult mentality in this country.
Your content, I think. When we first met, it was more motivational and you were into the speaking. And I think that obviously it's taken a change. Yeah. And I can think of things I used to post. I used to kind of call out people more, like, oh, this person said this about diet culture and this person's doing this and that's wrong. And I'm like, why am I like, I don't want to talk about anyone else in a negative way. Like I can just share my experience, but I don't need to call out a celebrity who said this or that. Like that's actually not what I want to do. But it was
no, but you can start calling out people who are involved in illegal and immoral activity instead of sitting there with these little interviews with these rich and famous people.
Views and likes in 2020.
Right.
And now I'm like, why did I do that? Like everyone's on their, so I think that's awesome. I think everyone could benefit from really slowing down and saying, why am I doing the things I'm doing?
Sure.
Is it for me? Is it for other people? Is it to feed my ego?
Yeah.
Everyone can do that, check in with themselves frequently.
And I think it's a responsible thing to grow. We're always learning about ourselves and what we like and what we want to do. And the fact that you did those comparison stuff, I guess in 2020 or whatever, doesn't make you a bad person. You're just learning about, what you used to do and how you want to get better as a brand and as an individual and stuff like that. So, I think in 2020, 2021, stuff like that, I was doing way more of the, inspirational, motivational. I was trying to really help kind of young entrepreneurs and young actors and stuff like that. And then I was just like, I need to go and make a career for myself first. I really want to go and focus on just me and where I want to go, and then go back and help. And doesn't mean I'm not open to helping other people and things like that.
Generation.
Of course I want to, but I want to help myself get to where I want to go and what to be who I want to be.
When it comes to acting and you talk about your coach, and this stuff is so fascinating to me. I love the art of acting. I love talking.
See, this is why I'm like, this is why we need another war. All of these kids with me, so they get sent to boot camp. That's why the elite is like, no, every once in a while we need wars in order all of these like pampered, spoiled brats that our societies have produced. We need to send them to boot camp, turn them into men, throw them into trenches, have their buddies' heads shut off in front of them so they get a reality check, and then we do a reset. I'm like, can't we find another like way to and just stop producing the snot-nosed brats and produce, honorable and honest, hardworking men and women? A nice change.
Talking to actors, it just seems so fun. It's something, growth mindset I could get better at in the future, but it doesn't come naturally to me. And and you're so talented at it. I mean, the projects you've been in, the things you've done, like really. So did you feel like that was always a skill you had and you wanted to keep nurturing it? Were you obviously inspired by the things your dad had done, but it seems like that's kind of now you've funneled down and you're focusing on acting.
So I think for sure my dad and his career had an impact on me. I think that it has an impact on majority of...
Well, I certainly hope that my sons, the career of their father, the official and unofficial one, is not an inspiration for them to follow. An inspiration for them to find another path.
Humans, what their parents do and kind of the environment they grow up in. My favorite activity growing up was my dad pulling me out of school.
I mean, my mother was an inspiration to me, but an inspiration to find another path.
Taking me in his car and we would go to his set at Universal Studios and I would watch him go in the chair as dad and come out with a bald blue cap and be Mr. Freeze. Or, during breaks, he would take me on the golf cart around and we would go to the Jaws ride and then the ET ride and all these different things. It was like a dream for a kid. That's when they filmed everything in LA. So I definitely was like, introduced to the film industry at an early age and at a different way than majority of people. And then I started to do plays when I was in lower school and then in middle school. And then I was always kind of doing home videos where I would pretend I was a news anchor, or we were doing these different kind of just home skits and stuff like that. And you just kind of get into that, developing a character. And then when I was in high school, I was like, I want to be a businessman. I want to totally switch. I want to go.
How they're indoctrinated from young.
And do business and learn about business. And then I kind of teeter back to, do I want to do film? And so it's kind of been this up-down relationship with film and with acting. And then when I went to USC, I got a degree in business and then cinematic arts.
See,
so I did business.
the kid knows that all the doors are open anywhere he wants to turn because of who his father is, who his mother is. This kid, he doesn't have to worry about any shit as long as he toes the line. Look at me. I've been canceled because I'm not willing to drink or pass out this Kool-Aid.
And film and then theater as well. So I just didn't really know where.
My sons that are his age, well, his mom, oh, how I found myself after my divorce. As I say, Leslie Morgan Steiner, her book is The Naked Truth. How after her second divorce, she went out and like her goal was to find a whole bunch of men to sleep with during the year, young, to play the cougar. And she wrote a book about it. I was like, oh my God, gotta be freaking crazy. Oh, that's who they give TED Talks and podiums and all sorts of shit. Somebody who's exposing all of the bullshit that's going on. Oh, she's silent.
Was going to go. And then when college kind of stopped, I went full into acting more, taking classes, going into theater programs outside of school, and trying to learn as much as I could and hone kind of my craft. And so I guess the question was, did I always have a skill? No, definitely not. Because when I look back at things that I've done, whatever, years ago, or even just like in class, like I did a play this Thursday, and just like the level of like confidence that I have now compared to 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, it's just.
Of course, all these snot-nosed brats, they come out of college, they think they're God's gift to the world, because they're young jailbait, so everybody's been telling them that, and they're forking out, they're getting all of these student loans that are going to get them into debt. So, of course, oh, I got the diploma, I got the piece of paper, I'm God's gift to the world. So they got to keep the steady supply of jobs for these kids. Otherwise, if it's too many, they'll get pissed off and take up arms.
Night and day. And I think that'll continue to grow. But just being in class and getting to kind of flex different muscles and become different characters over time. I think that the more you're doing something and working at it, the more comfortable you get and the more you're learning and the more you're growing. And
growing and learning.
Yeah. So I guess I think that I had a natural talent to a degree, but it's definitely been the amount of work I've put towards it.
Oh God, yeah.
What are some of the strategies you use to really execute?
It has nothing to do with the life of privilege that you have had and that everybody says and hates me because they say I've had. I mean, my God, when all of my classmates and schoolmates from Foxcroft were at Martha's Vineyard or Palm Beach and the whole, and the mansions and hanging out on the yachts and snorting cocaine and party hardy. I was at my parents' farm in Louisiana pulling down old houses or barns and learning how to reform buildings. So yeah, I'm not this white privilege that everybody hates me for. No, my mom, oh Lord, my mother decided when we got it to be, old enough, pre-adolescence, that her daughters were cheaper than any maid she could hire. Oh, we had Saturdays and Sundays. We'd have to clean the house top to bottom, and I mean, spick and span. She would come in there with the white glove test. And we even did experiments. It wasn't how clean everything was. It was how much time we spent. And we were just, can we finish? Because we wanted to go down to the stables and ride our horse up. And that was so strange. We had just bought the horse when we left. I mean, we always had horses. I loved training horses. There was always somebody who had bought a horse that was too much for their kid learning to ride. The horse would learn to buck and the person would get scared, and so the horse would just be reinforced and then they go wild. So And that's what I'd come in. Oh, I mean, I love that. I was a skinny little kid, but I mean, I was strong, but also it's not strength with a horse. It's not strength. I mean, as I show, I was a skinny little kid, but Miss Johnson told me, I remember she's like, sit down and apply your legs when they start bucking. You sit down, she explained, if you get that horse moving forward and his legs underneath him, he can't buck. And that's what you got to do when they start wanting to buck, and your reaction is to like rein them in or something. No. You, with all of the strength that you have, and I mean, that's when I ride. I go to the gym and I work my legs. Those that's the only time I use the machines with the legs. I sit there with a book. And you put it on low and you just do, like half an hour, even an hour of that shit. But you apply your legs, and that horse cannot buck. The only time I was ever afraid was that two professional trainers had gone through and said that horse is going to kill somebody one day. No. She became a brood mare. I was like, a good solution there. She was a wonderful brood mare. Anyway, I digress again. Let's go on.
Roller character.
So I had some of the trappings of privilege. Believe me, the house that I grew up in Tucson was a beautiful home. Yeah, I miss it dearly. But, with the tyrannical mother that we had, yeah, this life, it's a mommy dearest story. I'm like, y'all, that book has been written by Christina Crawford and then Nancy Reagan's daughter. We don't need to write it anymore. Like, yeah, okay, this is what it is. It is what it is. Let's move on and stop producing these mothers and wives. Oh, but see, it's real convenient for the feminists, under the guise of women's rights people, the domestic violence people, to keep this up, because the psychological abuse, which is the forte of the women, is what's controlling these societies and producing all of these parasites.
Obviously, people hear about method acting. Mm-hmm. I mean, you said your dad would like take you to a ride and then he'd go back on set. I mean, could you do that?
He's like, it's so funny because we had a show come out at the same time, and we were both in Toronto, and someone asked me, I just did a miniseries called The Staircase, and
so good.
It was on HBO. Thank you. And my dad was doing another project, and a reporter asked us both. He was like, Patrick, how did you prepare? It was such a dramatic role. You're playing.
So much shit coming out of Hollywood. I mean, so much money is being wasted. So Hollywood people can produce crap.
A real person, what did you have to do for a real person? And I was like, I mean, first off, this is a very wild show. I mean, it's a very depressing case about, someone finding their mother dead at the bottom of the staircase, and it's very dramatic and playing a real person.
Yeah, I was afraid that would happen to my sons. Like it was maybe a year, 2 years, or something like that, right next door to us, a house next door. The man, it was the gardener. They had a couple living with them. I guess he would do the gardening, chauffeur or whatever, and the woman was the domestic help. He killed his wife, and then I think he committed suicide. I'm pretty sure he was successful in the suicide. My youngest son said, "Oh God, Mom, if that ever happened, I think I'd move. We'd have to move out of the house. Like I couldn't live there anymore." I mean, I knew my husband with his brother, his cousin is on the local police force, and it was made very clear that, one of the plans was to take me out and make it look like a suicide. This is where my mom was like, oh, she'd have the goods and she's going to get some money. That's what's her calculation for hanging me out to dry. I said, could you just tell John McCain, your good friend Mike Helen, in John McCain's campaign, I mean, this will be an ace up his sleeve. You got the Sarah Palin pit bull with lipstick bullshit going on there. Save the American Abroad and her Global Expats Project and her sons. Tell the frickin' consulate in Madrid to do its job, and then the courts and my lawyers wouldn't dare pull the shit that they were pulling. We got all of this court watch. I keep on telling all of these activists, oh, I only needed one court watch, my own, and then I did one for Aaron Eddy in Arlington courts. Huh. Oh, they've been trafficking kids for decades. I don't need any more court watches. I got all of the evidence. Take them to the international courts. If we can't get any resolutions at national levels, I'm not the one who should be ashamed of denouncing my government and the Americans that I know in the international courts or international community. I shouldn't be the one who's ashamed. Y'all should be the one who are ashamed. Bullshit.
Person, it's your responsibility to try to, really study that individual day in and day out, kind of how they talk, how they walk, the physicality, the emotional side of them, try to understand the relationship, the who, what, where, when, and why is what we call it in film. So what's the relationship to each individual, to the setting that they're at, what's the relationship now to the house where they found the mother dead every time they come in, now after they found the mother versus before, the relationship to the other individuals, all these different things. And I'm talking about it and kind of going in depth about how I prepared for it. And I did therapy as the character. I did dream sequences.
Like on your own.
Yeah. So the director set it up. It was great. Antonio Campos. And he set up a dream sequence where you would have a therapist like this, and you would do dream scenarios, and you would talk about your dreams as if you're in the character.
So it's like improv.
It's improv, but you're setting up certain scenarios that are happening throughout the.
I mean, we have 70,000 women each year who are killed by family members. And this guy is pulling this shit, wasting time and resources. Okay, maybe he's got his own time to waste. That's fine. Whatever. Go live off in the woods and do whatever you frick you want. But if you want to live in this community and society, you gotta learn how to be a positive contribution instead of just a parasite.
Script, and then you're reliving it. So again, I was the character that found my dad at the bottom of the staircase, and then you would go and you dream, try to relive that scenario and talk about the different details, so that on the day when you're going to film that or something, everything has a meaning to you. And
there are so many people in therapy because either they've got these suppressed memories of something like this, or they're traumatized by that really happening. And this guy is making money and profiting from it. See how the
very specific details of everything. And I just bring this up because I'm going through, and then they went to my dad and they're like, so what do you do? And he's like, I just fucking show up and act. He's just like total opposite of just like, it's kind of more of the old school movie star of like, he sees himself as less maybe as an actor, more of a movie star, whereas I am trying to go the other way. Yeah. And hopefully turn into a movie star, but going towards the acting. Everyone has their own process.
Yeah. And I could be totally wrong. This is making a general assumption, but I do think that the project.
Cornelia, she's in O Canada with Richard Gere. She's still, after all these years, she became an old maid, debutante of the decade of the 1980s. Old maid, she launches, throws away her furs, poses naked on all of the magazine covers. I'd rather go naked than wear fur, and launches her fashion and catering line of vegan living. I keep on telling Cornelia, excuse me, animals have more rights in this country than children because of bitches like you. And she moved to Dallas away from New York so she could be closer to Hollywood. I'm like, Cornelia, I know you're a high school dropout, but let me give you a geography lesson. Oh, well then I understood. Dallas is kind of like she'll still be a popular star and someone of importance in Dallas, where she's a has-been in Hollywood. But still, at this ripe old age, she's still trying to launch her career as an actress. I mean, I offered her, I said, Cornelia, this is 2010. I thought, oh God, get Cornelia Guest on the board. I asked Ingrid Betancourt, she was the presidential candidate in Bogota, in Colombia, 2002, who was kidnapped by the FARC. And she also presented 2022 on the Green Party. Of course, she lost. I'm like, screw you, Ingrid. If you had been paying any attention instead of off in your ivory tower in Oxford studying human rights, well, we wouldn't be here. But I thought, oh, wouldn't this be great? Put the cocaine snorting debutante of the decade on the board with the Jeanne d'Arc of Colombia, getting rid of the corruption and violence that the cocaine snorting of the Americans have produced. I thought that'd be a real coup and real fuck you to the establishment. No. These little ladies didn't want to become involved. Fine. But I keep on telling Cornelia, you better be afraid of the 20-year prison sentence of Ghislaine Maxwell. Because y'all are just as guilty of all of this bullshit as Ghislaine Maxwell. I want to know why she's the only one sitting in prison. And Jeffrey Epstein, I don't think he's dead. I mean, the man was not stupid. Okay, so if you're not stupid, I mean, Hollywood is filled with real stupid criminals, and they tell you how they get caught. So, you know, if you're not stupid, he's going to have backup, not just one copy. And I mean, I think he trusts his brother. And we need to take a deep dive look into the Epstein family as well. And any of the connections there. All of these different families. Somebody was saying that Hitler's father, his biological father, was a Rothschild. I think that rings a bell, but see that, and then ding, ding, ding. So he wasn't just randomly picked. Hitler. So anyway, welcome to Epstein. But he's going to have enough goods that's why Trump doesn't want release of everything. Everybody's going to find out all of this shit unless you keep me alive. I mean, logically speaking, he's probably in Israel hanging out. I mean, the thing of him being the what is that, Pete, Palm Beach Pete? I think he's smarter than that. That'd be real risky. It'd be a real fuck you and a real fuck you to the world. But it's real risky. I mean, the most logic solution is you go out and hang out in Israel. Get a new identity, whatever.
Projects nowadays have gotten, like, the lines are less of just like a gimme. Like, there's so much storytelling and the shots and the scenes than I think when we used to see movies. I feel like it was more of that, like, oh my God, and like a bomb. It's like, so I think the game has changed.
It
like
totally
everything.
changed. Yeah. I mean, it used to be way more, and nothing against, when my dad was going into the industry, it was more of like kind of these action hero, the one-liners, the slapstick, this thing. And today people are really interested in the character stories and the character dramas and stuff like that. So, when you think about Mia just filming White Lotus, that's a total character piece. I mean, you're essentially the first whatever episodes, there's nothing like that catastrophic, or I mean, except for the beginning part, right? But the other parts are not like these huge monumental action scenes or explosions or massive, moments in the show. It's about characters. It's about all these different types of characters coming to one area for the same thing, for vacations, whether it's I
have to say, I am a huge fan of the action movies. You know, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rambo, Cornelia Guest, she was a sugar baby for Sylvester Stallone. I cracked up. I saw that in an Ola magazine years and years and years ago. I was like, oh my God, I would love to see Cornelia with Sylvester Stallone. But anyway, I have to say, I'm a fan. And like one of the problems with these action movies is their what do you call it? I forget what the word is. But you know how they're the different, all the technology that goes into that. I mean, you sit there and you go, oh, come on. The guy would fly off the wing of the airplane or something, you know, the Tom Cruise shit. But I don't know. I've always liked the James Bond, the action films. It's an easy formula. I don't know, it's entertaining. Nothing deep there going on, but it is entertaining.
A husband and wife with a family, or someone that just went through a divorce, or a guy with his new girlfriend, or the people working at the hotel. They're all character driven stories, and they want, the audiences to really invest in those characters, and then you learn more and more about them and them raveling apart. But it's totally different than it used to be.
I think that's what makes White Lotus so good, is it's all the unspoken. Even in like season 1, just that family. Yeah. I'm like, why is this my family? Like literally the way the mom and then there's the son and they're making him sleep in the dresser. Like, and I'm literally like, it's everything it was so real. Yeah. It was so real. Yeah. So congratulations. Like I am obsessed with that show. When I saw that you were cast for season 3, I was like, that is so sick.
I was freaking out.
Yeah. Tell me about the day you found out.
Video of it when I found out. Because I first auditioned for it. And it was like one of those auditions where I'm just like, how is this going to happen? Like there's going to be like, you audition for Superman. And you're like, everybody's going out. There's just like no way. And you get the White Lotus and you're like ecstatic to go out for it. But you're like, fuck, every single person that's between 25 to 35 male, is going out for this role. And so it's almost like a blessing of like, you kind of care less about it, but you also really care about it. You want it to be like amazing, but you're just like, the chances are so slim. And I was flying back I was working in Milan. I got the audition on the plane and I was like, I'm going to learn this audition on this plane. I'm not going to get off this plane until I have it down perfect. And I was like, usually I wait a couple days to send in an audition. This one, I was like, I'm going to send it in first. I want to be the first person to send it in. I sent it in the second I got back, I filmed it. And within probably a couple hours, I got a call that was like, this tape is exactly what we're looking for. We want to ping you for this. And I was like, what? And they're like, we'll find it. We'll come back with more details. And I was like, okay, like what? And I didn't hear anything for another month or two, something like that. And then they were like, hey, it's moving along. We want to do a chemistry read. You, Mike White, the producers, casting director, all these different things. It's the day after Christmas, the morning after Christmas. And I was like, okay. And they're like, here are the extra scenes.
And being the son of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver, I'm sure didn't play on any of it.
And I was like, fuck, like now I'm not going to enjoy the holidays. Like my anxiety was going crazy during Christmas. I was like freaking out and I didn't want to tell my family or anybody or any of my friends. No, because like every time we would watch the show, I watched it because it started during COVID and I watched it. Me, my fiance and my mom were living together during COVID and it was like our favorite show. And then when the second season came out, we watched as a whole family on Sundays. And they would always, my mom and my sisters were like, why weren't you that role? Why didn't you audition for that? You should be in this show. You should be in this show. So I didn't want to tell them like I was going up for it. And then, oh my God, I'm having a chemistry read and there's a couple other actors that are in it, and then not get it. It just was like too much of a letdown. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to wait. So I did it. I did the chemistry read the day after Christmas. And then I'm with my family and I get the message from Mike saying, you got the role. And I started crying. And it was like, I just was like, I can't fucking believe this. It's like insane. And they're like, you cannot tell a soul. You cannot tell anybody. And I was like, God, I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to tell anyone. You have to sign these NDAs, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I got to tell Abby. Like, that's the only person I can tell. So I told Abby. She was freaking out. And then I was like, Abby, you cannot tell anybody. And she was like, okay. So then I went, sorry, this is a long story.
No, I'm living for it.
And so then
Give us every detail.
Then we're on our Christmas, now it's Christmas vacation.
Like, oh, look, I'm going to be an actor in this movie. I'm like, and I dream. I mean, I would literally be weeping if somebody said, yeah, and we're bringing your kids here, or you're going to go to Madrid to see them. I mean, that's where my dream is, buddy. I mean, there are people out there with real lives and real consequences of all of your Tinseltown bullshit.
And I'm with my family, and we're in Mexico, and we're at the dinner table, and Abby flew in to meet us. I was there a day early, and we got to the before we went to dinner, to lunch. Sorry, it was lunch. She was like, "Have you told anybody?" I was like, "No, we can't tell anybody." And she's like, okay, done time. So then we get to lunch, and my mom's like looking at Abby and I, and she's like, "What's going on?" And then my sister looks at me, and she's like, "You're pregnant. You guys are pregnant." And Abby's like, no. She's like, "Tell us you're pregnant." And we were like, no. My mom's like, "Something is going on. You guys are being so weird." And I was like, "No, it's not." And they just kept hounding us. And then I was like, "Okay, you know what? Fine." I was like, "I'm going to Thailand for 7 months. I booked it, blah, blah, blah." My mom just screams. She starts sobbing. My sister's there. She starts crying. Then I start crying. And then Abby's cracking up. My brother-in-law's there crying. Like, everyone's just crying at the table. And it was like just like a rush of emotions.
Oh my gosh.
It was great. It was like one of the best days of my life.
Wow.
Yeah, I can imagine your mother. I mean, this is what pisses me off in the mommy wars. All of these bitches that I'm dealing with, Kerry Kennedy, the Kerry Kennedy clan, this is Maria Shriver's cousin. Now, there's a photo of Maria Shriver and Sydney McKelvey, Lawford McKelvey. She went to Foxcroft School, and Caroline Kennedy. Yeah, well, Caroline Kennedy, Ambassador Caroline Kennedy, when she was in Japan, yeah, that's one of the cases that I've been on. Shall we take a look at that poor child? Let's take a look at him. Jimmy. I mean, they're doing Auschwitz type experiments on this poor child. Like, not feeding him enough calories and seeing how it would affect the skeleton bones and stuff coming out of his body. I mean, I was horrified. Caroline Kennedy, ambassador. I was like, of course the concept, because poor James Ryan, he was ready to give up. Everybody kept on saying, no, there's nothing they can do, nothing they can do. I said, what the fuck are they talking about? The consulate has an obligation to assist you all and assist your son. This kid is an American citizen. His father is American, his mother is Japanese. Now, it involving some military hospital in Japan, because the mother, how the kid ended up in the military hospital is the mother, I think it was the father or grandfather or something, had been in the military, so this is how apparently the kid ended up there. But sick things going on. Listen, after 11-year-old Jimmy Ryan was tortured, suffocated, and strangled, his sister comforts him. They tried to kill the kid and pitted it on the father. Well, these, my son, you're getting a part in the movie. These people live in this fantasy land, and they do not want the reality to break their glass. They want to break, all of these feminists breaking glass ceilings when they don't want the reality of the world to come to light.
That is insane. I can't believe you're not supposed to tell anyone.
I know. They were so serious about it.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And so then when you did tell them, did you have to then tell everyone, but you can't tell anyone?
Yes, I said that. I was like, you cannot tell anybody. And they were like, okay, we promise. And then like 2 weeks later, it came out.
Do you think it's kind of unspoken though, that they're like, sign the NDA and don't tell anyone, but like, of course you can tell your immediate family who will like hold a secret?
I was keeping true to it. I mean, I was really not saying anything, and then I had to tell them. But I don't know. I mean, some people probably tell some people. I mean, I trust my family, but I didn't even tell my friends. I didn't tell my friends till the day the press release came out.
Because everyone has someone that they think they can trust to not tell. So if you're like, I won't tell anyone, but I'll tell Abby. And I'm just like, well, I will only tell my best friend.
Well, yeah, my family showed its stripes or spots, however you call it, in the past 20 years. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I'm just like, we all agreed that mom was crazy growing up. Well, like, it's a choice. It's a choice. That's all I have to say. You can choose to repeat that behavior and all that comes with it, or you can choose another road. It is a choice.
Friend Jill, and then Jill tells and then everyone knows. But oh my gosh, and Mike White,
I know,
obsessed with him.
He's so funny.
I'm a Survivor nerd, so I did
instead of doing some soul searching to become a good actor for some big part, do some soul searching about you and your family's role in what's going on in society, in your communities, and decide which path y'all want to take. And it does take them some soul searching to, you don't just wake up one day and say, oh yeah, I don't like that. I'm just going to, find another road. It is a road that you have to find.
I didn't watch Survivor. I didn't watch it. And every time when I got to set, he was like, you're not my friend. You're not my real friend. You didn't watch Survivor. I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to watch your season. So I watched the season.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was really funny. He's hilarious. He's a genius.
Wow.
He's like a serious genius.
Speaking of COVID, he wrote that show during COVID. Yeah. They said we have low budget. We need a show. It's going to take place in one. I mean, so we
have our geniuses in Hollywood. Oh, God.
Came from it. What was the experience like filming it?
It was really cool because for an actor, it's like a dream come true to work with a director that's also an actor. So Mike White is, he's a trained actor and he's a writer, but then he's now turned director. So it's a blessing because they understand, they've been in your shoes, so they understand kind of what you're going through, and he's very great at, and it's also a blessing that he wrote every episode. He's kind of created everything about White Lotus. He showruns it. He's the director. He's the writer. He's producer. So he knows what he wants, which is very helpful. And so working with him was like such a blessing. I was really nervous at first, and then you just realize that he's such a kind of a goofball, fun guy, and he's just really wanting to make the set environment really fun. And but it's really great to work with someone that's an actor, because when he comes up and gives you notes, it's articulate and he's phrasing it in ways for you to understand. And he's also really funny because he kind of comes up and he kind of scratches his head and he recreates the whole scene in his mind, and you can watch him. He kind of talks to himself and he says this and he, oh yeah, I want you to do this. I want you to try this. It's just wild to watch.
This is really JFK and RFK were killed, assassinated, in order for this paradigm to continue. Because that's what they were challenging. I mean, their wives, both of their widows, played another Erica Kirk. I mean, this is why I'm like, y'all, Erica Kirk, her behavior, yeah, it's not normal, but it's par for the course with these people. The gold digging social climbers is who I'm talking about. And the whores and pimps that they produce. This is what the mommy wars is about. I mean, tripping the prom queen, Susan Barash Shapiro, or what is it, Susan Shapiro Barash. She explains this, it's a competition of between the moms for success of their children. And I'm like, yeah, well, look how you define success. Yeah, let's.
It's gonna be a crazy season.
Okay.
It's gonna be wild, and
I can't wait.
He's you'll just have to wait and see. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and I would say this season it's bigger than the past ones. It's 8 episodes, and yeah.
Wow, amazing! I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Sounds like seriously, it is a once in a lifetime experience, and
It is
so
It
exciting.
really-
Hold on, this gives a
names in Hollywood, actor Patrick Schwarzenegger truly made a name for himself with his performance on the hit series The White Lotus earlier this year. He's in conversation with our Lee Cowan.
Every time I'm out in like nature, that's kind of where I like to do my prayers or gratitude list.
Got a lot to be grateful for now, huh?
Amen.
Patrick Schwarzenegger is indeed counting his blessings, even though the role he was recently blessed with is anything but reverent.
Dude, this long plane ride to make me so.
I mean, the kid, his father was governor of California. Look at the state of California. Thank you very much, Governor Schwarzenegger. I mean, we got Reagan, Schwarzenegger. I'm not sure exactly who else have been governors in my lifetime. But yeah, look at the shit show you've produced with LA. This is a success story. No more success story than New York City or DC.
It's like a lot of hot women away from home.
He's the much talked about and much hated Saxon Ratliff.
Cougars.
He plays the eldest son of a wealthy family visiting Thailand in the latest incarnation of HBO's The White Lotus.
Saxon doesn't do drugs. No, I am the drug. Whoa!
Saxon is a chiseled car crash, a sex-obsessed, protein shake-chugging bro who is so irredeemably into his own masculinity that he offends even his own sister.
No, girls aren't into super jacked guys, by the way.
Really? What are they into, Piper? Gender goblins that tuck their in between their legs like that?
For his audition, he says all he was given was a short sentence describing Saxon's excitable personality.
Nice to meet you. The wording was that he flirted with anything, so I just took the first few seconds and just kind of, stared at the camera in a loving way.
Did you have any reservations because he was
Yes.
the way he was?
I was worried. Yes, I was worried. I didn't want him to come off as just this one-note character.
And early on, he didn't even know yet just how sexually awkward things were going to get.
I mean, this is the typical, story that Hollywood's coming out with of, oh, now the guy, apart from sleeping with all of the girls and waking up drunk, I guess he's sleeping with the boys as well. I mean, this Martha's Vineyard goes to Thailand, Palm Beach frat boy goes to Thailand. That's what the Kennedys have been promoting ever since. Well, even, that's what Jackie and Ethel were promoting while their husbands were promoting a paradigm shift. That's why the husbands, Ethel was given, she started her fraudulent RFK nonprofit in order to cash in and pay for the bills of all her continual partying. I mean, her husband was dead. Now she needed a new income source. As I say, Erica Kirk is no different than these people. I feel sorry for Erica Kirk's children. Oh, Lord. What is going to become of them?
Real last night at all. We both blacked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Everyone has their thing. It's fine.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's definitely not a thing. When I was auditioning, they had said, are you okay with performing things sexually? Are you okay being nude at times? So I knew an idea of where it could go. I didn't know to what extent the show would go.
The show's creator, Mike White, has spent
They
3
put stuff on TV nowadays, or Netflix, whatever, that would have been X-rated when I was growing up.
seasons pushing the envelope,
Whenever I stay at a White Lotus, I always have a memorable time. Always.
writing exotic whodunits that along the way skewer the rich and privileged vacationing at White Lotus resorts all around the world. A world he knew Patrick probably understood.
There was a joke because he was always like, you don't look like you're rich. You don't like.
Selling the lifestyle of the rich and famous. and everybody keep aspiring to that. That's what these movies and shows are about.
King rich. Aren't you a Schwarzenegger? Aren't you a Kennedy? Aren't you rich in real life? You don't look like you're rich at all.
You are so talented.
The first season, set in Hawaii, debuted during the pandemic in 2021, and it hit Schwarzenegger and his family head on.
It was me, Abby, my fiance, and my mom. We lived together, us three.
During the pandemic?
During the pandemic. So you can imagine how fun that was. And then they were always like, you need to be in the show, you need to audition, this is such a perfect day, blah, 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 blah.
His fiance is fashion model.
During the pandemic, it was Lee Topping Brady from Foxcroft. She's complaining that her sons are back in her house and she's having to cook, and take care of them and, take care of the house and all of that shit. Her father-in-law, Secretary Brady, author of the Brady Bonds. Yeah, that's one of the problems that South America has been contending to ever since. And her father, actually was her stepfather, because her mom was a real gold digging whore, secretary who married the boss. He was owner of the Atlanta Falcons, some businessman, I forget. And I remember, so Lee Majors, the $6 Million man, I guess he was interested in the Falcons or maybe like investing in them or something. So he's in Atlanta, goes to the games and stuff. Well, anyway, he meets Lee and he's calling up Lee. She's 15 years old, 16 years old. He's calling up Lee all the time at Foxcroft. Because I remember Lee is on the phone. We all knew who Lee was. It's like, Lee Majors is calling Lee. We thought this was like, oh, so cool. I'm like, nowadays, I'm like, excuse me, Lee Majors, what are you doing calling this 15, 16-year-old little sugar baby? Huh? What does Farrah Fawcett have to say about this? Maybe that's when Farrah Fawcett melted down. See how the world is small and this whole lifestyle that they're promoting. But so, yeah, Lee, and then the NFL, I saw a documentary years and years and years ago how there's a cult it's attached to the NFL in the management. They breed babies to be sex slaves from the time they're born. And they're told that that's what they were bred for. That's what they were brought on this earth to be. And the African-American Black community is screaming and yelling and wanting reparations for the slavery of previous generations.
Abby Champion. His mom is journalist and member of the Kennedy clan, Maria Shriver, and his dad...
Journalist.
I'll be back.
Well, that goes without saying. Your dad had said that there were times when he didn't even recognize you.
We're looking at the Terminator type scenario for real.
Yeah, in the role. Which, when he said that to you, so you were kind of like, wow, really?
Yeah, it would be a little bit alarming if he did recognize a lot of those those characteristics.
His best friends are his family. They're also his greatest fans. When he got the part, you got it! There were tears all around.
You're gonna make me shout.
His greatest fans, yeah, well, let's just put it this way. Bobby Kennedy, he said about his mother, Ethel, in a People magazine interview, that she saw the world as friend versus foe and was a fair weather friend, and her treatment of her staff and children were at odds with her human rights rhetoric. And I'm like, yeah. He's got, all of them are his friends and his champions, whatever. Mine, they're the adversaries. Yeah, my poor father, that was his only friend. And the poor man, he was a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. I mean, his death was almost a liberation. It was the same with Mimi Carmen, my ex-husband's maternal grandmother. Oh, I think there was some real serious abuse. because she couldn't live on her own anymore, so she went to live with her daughter. And mentally, she went down real fast. And I think that was the abuse from her daughter. I mean, my mother-in-law, piece of work. Piece of work. I mean, her mother, one of the few people in the family I ever had any respect for. Real lady. Semi-illiterate, but I keep on saying I'm going to put a statue in Villaverde, which is the southern suburb of Madrid where she lived. A statue with Mimi Carmen. Mimi Carmen, más señora de cualquiera de la Moraleja, or Beverly Hills, or Potomac, or Manhattan. Take your pick.
Patrick Schwarzenegger has emerged from the White Lotus as a standout among standouts. The kind of breakout he hopes will put to rest any suspicions about nepotism.
To me, the name Schwarzenegger always meant a big plus.
Yeah.
In a recent chat with his dad on Variety's Actors on Actors, Patrick revealed that he worried his name might get in the way.
There were times earlier in my career where I was wondering, does it make sense to go under some sort of alias? Does it make sense to go under, a different name? Or
well, I'm glad that you kept the name.
Yes.
Because now I can take credit. Yeah, my son, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
He idolized his dad growing up, spending time on movie sets that became his playground.
How about my father, the Nazi, and my son, the Nazi? Yeah.
What the heck was that?
And my wife, the Nazi. I mean, the Kennedy family, as I say, JFK and RFK were anomalies. Joe Kennedy was like supporter of Nazi Germany and was like, well, yeah, there is the Jewish problem. We're learning now that the Jewish problem was not some racist thing, but a part of a much, much more complex situation, which is repeating itself at present. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's too busy advancing his acting career and having it all to care.
By the time he was 13, he was on his own sets. But he says he rarely brought up his dad.
I mean, I always know that there's, my last name, there's connections, there's, things that are going to help me.
Of course.
But I wanted to try to take a different path than that.
Oh.
He did, however, follow his dad's path on matters of money, how to run a business, how to create a brand.
My dad put me in charge of his memorabilia when I was 10. And so I would take these different photos of him, at Muscle Beach, and we would frame them. I took replica of the Conan swords and get him to sign them, and I would sell them for $10,000, dollars a pop. It was all for nonprofit. I didn't make any money, but it was to understand how to sell.
All from nonprofit. Excuse me, the nonprofits who are money laundering all of this money? Yeah. Nonprofits where you got a bunch of PhDs with heads up their asses who are promoting misinformation and propaganda, who are party politicking. Yeah, see, it was all for nonprofit, so it's good. Excuse me, yeah, your nonprofit minefield. Yeah, let's take a deep dive and look at that.
He actually majored in business at USC, starting college just about a year after his dad and mom had left the governor's office.
Yeah.
Politics has been in his genes, after all, and so is the idea of public service. His grandfather, Sergeant Shriver, was a founding director of the Peace Corps. His grandmother, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, founded the Special Olympics.
Have you yourself ever?
The Special Olympics, that was just a nonprofit to ease the conscience of the Kennedy family, who Rose, there was the Joe Kennedy Sr. and Rose, the matriarch grandmother. This is the mother of JFK and RFK. They had a daughter, Rose, who there was some, I'm not sure what the problem was. It was a snowstorm or something, but the doctor couldn't get to attend the Rose when she's going into labor with her daughter, Rose. And so they keep the kid in the birth canal and damage her brain, mentally. So she's mentally handicapped. And so she's like an embarrassment when she's getting older and she has to be the little socialite, 10-year-old socialite, whatever, who is in her party dress and comes and starts socializing with the guest. Cornelia Guest talks about this in Debutante Guide to Life. So she's an embarrassment. So Joe goes and takes her and has her lobotomized. Turns her into a frickin' vegetable. That's what the Special Olympics is about. Ease the conscience of the Kennedy family. See, the development community recognized long ago that this whole exploitative paradigm and then easing your conscience with charities and charity work is not sustainable. Yet they're still promoting it with a sustainable development goal.
Ever thought about going into politics?
I think it was instilled in us to find ways to give back at an early age. It doesn't have to be through public office to find ways to give back.
Through it all, though, his focus on acting remained pretty singular.
Say this.
You know I know the Bill story, right?
He spent a decade in acting class, building a resume one part at a time, recently landing opposite Colin Firth in HBO's The Staircase.
What happened? What happened? Are you okay? What happened to Kathleen?
The Staircase was the first time that the people in the industry were able to see me in a dramatic role.
How do you think you were seen, though, before The Staircase versus after?
Before, people maybe didn't take me serious. They didn't know if I was really, in it for the long haul. Was I, really working on my craft?
I don't have any interests. I don't have any hobbies. Okay, if I'm not a success, then I'm nothing.
Going on about his career. Let's finish.
I'm so excited.
I'm actually curious. So you said Abby visited twice.
Yep.
I do think, if I'm stereotyping, the young actor in Hollywood, like they're typically not in a steady, stable, good communication relationship.
Right.
Like that's at least not what we've seen. Yeah, obviously it exists. What are some of the big things that have allowed?
These days the question is, are you involved in all the cannibalism crap that's going on? Are you part of that group? I mean, I was like, oh, don't tell me Brad Pitt. Jennifer Aniston. Oh, I've never liked Jennifer Aniston. I've never understood what why everybody loves Jennifer Aniston. Anyway, but I was like, Brad Pitt. I thought he was a good guy.
You guys, both ambitious. Abby's a model. She
thought the same about George Clooney long time ago. I'm Al Clooney. I want some explanations, just like Carrie Kennedy with her LGBT human rights bullshit, and Amal Clooney with her Human Rights Foundation, or George Clooney, Clooney Foundation, whatever they're calling it. I want some explanations. Labor rights are shit in this country. Housing rights, citizens' rights, litigants' rights. The U.S. Constitution is being used for toilet paper. And y'all are cashing in with your nonprofits? Again, TPUSA, the Wolves in Finance, everybody got on board with it. I think actually it wasn't Wolves in Finance who came out with that first, but all the forensic accounting of what they're doing with their nonprofits. It's a house of cards. It's all money laundering scheme.
Kills it. I actually knew of her and her work before I even think I realized you guys were dating, because she has such an incredible career she's built for herself.
Yeah.
How do you guys make that work?
So like I said, we've been together for 9 years now. She was 18, I was 21. She moved to LA from Alabama right after.
I'm desperate to find out about my son. I know my youngest, he was dating a young girl he had really liked, I know, when he was younger, so I was happy about that. I was concerned because I saw a photo on Facebook of my older son. It looked like some wedding type thing. I was like, don't tell me he got married. Thank God. No, I'm terrified of the snot-nosed brat entitled gold digging whores out there. I mean, the only thing that I'm like, well, I'm sitting on lawsuits going to make me one of the wealthiest women in this country, if not world, with all the assholes that have picked fights with me. But at least all the gold digging whores don't know that yet. Well, I'm not gonna, but even without that, I'm terrified. These girls are out of control. I mean, Spain, Europe, it's following the same trajectory as the United States. You know, Clemencia. Oh, her daughter is now an actress. Her daughter is the same age as my eldest son. And the son, the younger brother of her daughter, is the age of my younger son.
After high school.
They've known each other since they were young children. They used to have tennis lessons together in Bogota, in the conjunto that we lived in.
To pursue her dreams of being a supermodel. At first, when I met her because she was on a date with one of my friends.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you were like on a double date with someone else?
I went and met them with my other friend. Me and my friend Johnny went and met her and him at the Nice Guy in West Hollywood at a bar. And I was like, oh my God, this girl's beautiful. And I'd never met her. And then I was like, you know what? I gotta swoop in.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
Yeah, are you guys still friends?
Not really.
Oh no.
No, yeah, it's fine.
But
we're friends.
You went on to marry her.
Yeah,
Come on.
yes.
It'd be one thing if you went on to date her. That's your soulmate.
Yes.
Come on.
Exactly. So at first we just kind of, and we kind of hit it off that night. I got her number. I made my friend Johnny get her number for me because I was nervous of doing it. And so I got her number and she blew me off the first multiple dates that I tried to go out on with her.
Why did she say she did that?
She thought I was kind of like a douche.
The stereotype
I don't know.
I just said.
Exactly. She was like, he's not, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I invited her out for dinner a couple times. No. And then I was going to church one night and I was like, hey, I don't know if you're religious or, if you have faith or whatever, but, I'm going to church if you want to come. And she was like, yeah, I'll come. And she was like, yeah, I grew up, religious but since I moved to LA, I've not been to church. And, I've been looking for kind of a group and a community of faith and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, let's go. And so that was our first date. And that was, like I said, 9 years ago. And then we kind of just hit it off from there. And I would say one of the things that I was most attracted to her besides, her appearance and, physically was that her drive, just her drive to go out and build a career and her vision and dreams of, having a very clear idea of where she wanted to go in her life and how hard she was willing to work to get there. And when I met her, she had done one photo shoot for a small company here in LA. And then just over the course of her career now, she works with everyone we got to just do the Tommy Hilfiger campaign together. But I mean, she does Chanel to Celine to Armani to, Saint Laurent, like all the top brands. And she's just people are just astonished of how hard she works. I mean, she goes to Europe, once to twice a week she'll come and she'll go for the day, work, then go to New York for the day. Then she'll go to, she's the highest flying, whatever miler person account on like every airline. She just goes just nonstop working. But sorry to go back to your question was I think that
another wife who's dedicated to her career and as an actress and a model, just what we need. Just what we need. Another entitled, generation of kids that are seeking to have it all while the country becomes a third world shithole. So anyway, that's where I'll end it now. It never ends. And so I'll be going into the Kennedy family. We'll see where their contribution to all of this shit